Hello. Can you hear me? Hello. Can you hear me? Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Ara's World. So I know you've seen the title and it said triggered domestic violence month. So over the past 3 days, this one content creator made a video and she said she went to pick up a friend from the airport and after she picked him up and they were on their way home or for her to drop him off, they got into an altercation. However, the way that you are carrying on these videos is kind of, I don't know, how would you say it? Because everybody reacts to trauma differently. But your story has changed with every video that you've done. You describe certain events, and in those events, none of what you say happened. You have no bruising to show it. So I grew up in a domestic violence. I was born into domestic violence. I wouldn't say that I have put myself in situations for me to be a victim, but other things have happened as you go through life. So I've been on this earth for a hot minute. A hot minute. So the first time I heard anything about domestic violence was with my mom and my dad. And I was told that my dad slapped my mom so hard that her face twisted. I don't know if that's possible, but that's what they say happened. She was holding me and they got into some argument and he slapped her across the face and her face twisted and I fell on the ground. So I don't remember that, or at least I don't think I remember that because I've blocked out a lot of stuff. And this, like I said, I've been on this earth for a while. But this content creator has this thing where you're disrespecting people. And I don't know if it's an American thing wherein there's no respect for people that are older than you. So you have this lady, she has a channel, it's called Come Get This Commentary. And I've been watching her for a little bit. And I don't feel like she was disrespectful to the alleged victim. I don't feel like she was ever disrespectful to her. She pointed out some things, and I guess by being on this earth for a while, you know certain things, right? But then the alleged victim is gonna class her in a certain way and talk about her in a derogatory way. Now, what I've noticed since I've been watching the alleged victim, because I used to watch her and I stopped watching her, because every month there was something new, or not something new, but something that you twisted in order to hit people emotionally. Like you're an emotional terrorist. I don't know if that's a thing, but you're an emotional therapist. Ter- terrorist. Emotional therapist. Terrorist. So you use these things and you make yourself out to be the victim. And then by you being a victim, people are emotionally inclined to respond to you, because we're all human beings and we all have emotions no matter how big of an asshole we are. So the way I heard you talk about this woman, this is why nobody who has heard your story has been very empathetic towards you. There's been sympathy, but then while we have sympathy, there's still a lot of questions that aren't answered. But anyway, I'm going to tell you about me. So, when I was around 6, 7, somewhere around there, put it between 6 and 8. Um, my dad and a female got into it. And even now, when I think about it, it's very triggering. And I have been diagnosed with PTSD because of the beatings that I got growing up. So, growing up, I've been beaten with the black hose in your car that takes the water from the engine to the radiator. I've been beaten with a broomstick. I've been hit with my mom's shoe. My mom chased me through her house and I fell into the the um the cabinet and I cut up my hand. My mom also I also got beat in the shower and I fell in the shower and ripped out my armpit. So I have 8 stitches underneath my armpit, one of my armpits. Um, I've been beaten with the old police baton, the wooden ones, a billy club. I've been beaten with that by my dad. But seeing how my dad handled certain situations made me know what situations not to get into. So during the altercation with my dad and the female, he beat her. She ran. He chased her. Um, and she hid in the closet. He pulled her out. He beat her again with the wires. And he locked us up in the house and threw the key in the front yard. So the person who came to pick me up to go to school had to let us out because we were locked into the house. So there's certain things that I'll watch it, and there's certain things I won't watch. When I first seen her video, the alleged victim's video, um, I was kind of concerned. But then as I keep watching the videos, I'm not concerned. And if you really did go through something like that, it's kind of fucked up that you have this reputation and you do these things that make people standoffish, because All you're using this situation for is a money grab. And the only reason why you're seeing all this stuff on the screen is because I'm on StreamYard and I usually upload videos because for some reason the camera on my computer works when it feels like working. So it'll have an update, it'll work, and then it'll stop working. And it's been like that since I bought it. So that's why I don't go live. I mainly upload videos and stuff. So one thing you learn from growing up with domestic violence is you don't touch people. You don't go into people's spaces unwanted. You were in an argument with this person in the car and you told the person to get out of your car. Person got out of your car. Person was trying to get your stuff out of the back of your car. You grabbed their glasses off their face. Now this is you attacking the person without him attacking you. Even if he was verbally abusive to you, he didn't touch you. And nothing happened until you touched him. And I have a son. And the way that the world is set up for females and men, especially young black men, is that the men get the shitty end of the stick. Because if you say I hit you, there's nothing I can say if I'm a man to tell the police that I didn't hit you. Well, at least in Canada. I don't know about over there. Because you said they didn't arrest him, where based on how you described the situation over here, they would have arrested him. So obviously, what you said to the police officers probably didn't add up to what um, the magnitude for them to arrest him. And obviously, both of you are wrong in the situation. So I have had friends that have been in domestic violence situations. I had one friend and she was pregnant. This was way before I even got pregnant with my son. She was pregnant and her baby father to be came to the building and she wasn't there. She was doing something else somewhere else. And he beat her. And yes, she was pregnant. He beat her. He pulled her down the stairwell, pregnant and all. When I saw her, she was all bloody and I had to part the fight. So then I took her to the hospital and she told the people at the hospital that some girls outside jumped her. They stayed together, they moved. I ended up moving to the building that they were in. So every time they had an altercation, I was the referee. In one of these instances, I was part in their fight and I got hit in my stomach. At the time, I didn't know I was pregnant. So the day after, it was Good Friday. And I remember feeling this sharp pain the Thursday night because I had to go to work the Friday morning. And I work in healthcare. So I remember I couldn't breathe. I couldn't do nothing because every time I breathed, it hurt. So then I went to the hospital. And when I went to the hospital, that's how I knew I was having a miscarriage. So moving on from that, I didn't have any ill will towards either of them. I still stayed cool with them. But I also kept my distance. Because if you did that and I did something stupid, then what's to stop the next time from me getting seriously hurt? Anyway, later on, they ended up breaking up. But for somebody who grew up with domestic violence and you're here talking on YouTube and making it seem like, oh, it's a big deal when you want people to donate to you, but then it's not a big deal because you're promoting your OnlyFans and telling people where they can see you naked. I've never encountered anyone who's reacted like that. And for you to say this is a business thing, and since they're showing my pictures anyway, I'm just gonna go. You could go and subscribe to my OnlyFans so you could see my naked body. Like, there's no humility in you right now. There's no shame in you. I don't know if you're supposed to be ashamed, but there's none of that stuff in you right now. Like, nothing you're portraying is for sympathy. Everything you're portraying is for monetary gain. And for you to joke and clown people, and my grandmother always said respect is something that is not money, but it's worth more than money. And no one on YouTube has respect for you because of the way you've acted. Since I've been watching you, I've seen you play victim every month when it comes around the time for YouTube to give out their check. There's always something to spike it right before. And anybody who watches your videos could go back in your videos and they'll see all of those things. There was a time when I followed one of my girlfriends to one of my guy friends' house because her guy friend was my guy friend's friend that I went to church with was talking to the girl. But then when I went, the friend thought that I was there for him since he was there. She came there to see the friend. So then he locked me up in the room. So then we got into a fight, but that wasn't domestic violence. I don't think it was. So we got into a fight. He slapped me across my face. So I took the padlock off and I busted his head with it. But that's a Jamaican thing, not a Canadian thing, because I'll go to jail. But when you're gonna talk about domestic violence and be like, oh, um, this person looks like a hippopotamus or whatever the case is, or they should come get this perm or whatever the case is. The woman is older than you. I don't know by how much, but she's older than you. And you have no respect for nobody at all. Nobody at all. Nobody. Absolutely nobody. And it's very annoying for you to watch you sit here and monopolize people's feelings so you could get money. Because if anybody's watched all of the videos together, it doesn't sell what she's saying. It doesn't sell it. I've seen throughout growing up with my dad, I've seen situations happen wherein the injured party can't move, can't talk, don't talk for a while. I had a boyfriend and he used to think that I was dating somebody, I was talking to somebody else that I grew up with. And one day I went to his house and he tried to fight. So I was the only girl growing up in my house for a long time. So I was taught to fight, and I used to fight with boys. Up until high school, all my fights, well, in middle school, my fights were with girls and boys because I had people who used to pick on this little girl that I used to have to pick up from school. So I used to get into fights, and I remember getting into two fights. One was with this kid, and his dad owned a bakery down the street from our school, and he took her lunch. And I remember I kicked him down a flight of stairs at school, and I never got in trouble for it. Then this other girl was picking on her, so I got in a fight with her. I went to high school, and I got into two fights, and they were with two boys. But I was always taught to protect myself, but most of all, my dad always said, make sure you're right. And I always make sure I'm right. This might sound like I rant because I'm not used to going live. So I don't know how to word certain things because, two, I have anxiety. But all of these things and experiences that I've had in the time that I've been on this earth has led me to have PTSD. Now, you're saying that you have PTSD. First of all, I can't stand the smell of alcohol. I can't stand the smell of blood because the smell of blood triggers me and it takes me back to incidents. I have flashbacks of images. Even now that I'm talking to you, my eyes are filled with water. And it's not that I want to cry, but then you have this girl online that's pretending. Because even if some of what happened, it wasn't to the extent of how it happened. And I feel like you haven't fully disclosed your part in the situation. You're trying to give little hints here and there about who this person is, wherein everybody else you've doxed. You've doxed people. So somebody abuses you to the level that you say they abuse you, because that's disrespect. That's plain disrespect. So somebody abuses you to the level that you've been abused, and you're protecting them because why? Why? You've made videos, and in none of the videos that you've made have we gotten the full story or the truth. You claim that the next day the person put you up on their story on Instagram, but you still haven't said anything about who the person is. So why are you letting somebody make you out? Why are you making somebody put you on social media for an incident that you said was traumatizing to you? You've told us everything else about your life. Why haven't you told us that? Why? We tend to bond with people who have gone through similar situations, and we sometimes put logic out the door. So, some of the points that you made in some of your videos was the flight was delayed and you didn't want to pay for parking. So first you picked up a friend. You picked up a friend and you were upset and annoyed because he told you to come to the airport at 11 o'clock. I don't know anybody who has shown up to the airport at the time when somebody tells them to come pick them up. Whether you live far away from the airport, whether you live close by to the airport. And I fly a lot, or I used to fly a lot pre-COVID. You went on a rant about deserving to be loved and taken care of by a man and to have the best life. But then your behavior doesn't generate anything. It doesn't generate anything to to promote. Well, I'm not saying your behavior or your attitude doesn't suggest my brain is going faster than my mouth, so I have to pause for a second. So, with my PTSD, I am very socially awkward. And like I said, with my PTSD comes a lot. I could be sitting here and I could be talking to you, and then I could smell something and I could start crying. I understand that you're trying to make the best of your situation, but you need to stop making fun of this domestic violence. You need to stop, because throughout your videos you've posted, you've plugged your clothing site, you've plugged your OnlyFans, you've plugged your Patreon, you've cussed out other YouTube people who do commentary. And in the beginning, I feel like the lady was genuinely concerned about you. And some people are genuinely concerned about you because we've seen you on a downward spiral. Downward spiral. We've seen you come on live and you're doing lives and you look like you're going through withdrawal. There's another time you demonize drinking and smoking, but then the following month you were back to drinking and smoking. So there's always something with you around the time when YouTube is supposed to issue a check. You said you had a job earlier this year. You were very excited about getting this job. And then you realize that depending on what topic you talk about, you could make money on YouTube. And I think the whole investigation into the avatar is making you think that, okay, if I push this narrative, I'll get more donations. And that shouldn't be what it's about. If you're coming on to share your story and to make people aware of a certain situation, then that's what you should do. That's what you should do. You should. I can't tell you what you should be doing, but what you're doing is not it. It's not. So you said you don't hit men. Your family has gang members in it. And the last fight I got into at school, I'll tell you about that fight. So I was going to school and we had a bus that picked us up and took us to school. This was in Jamaica. So we had the bus that picked us up and took us to school because we went to private school. So then the bus came and we went on the bus, and then this other guy had his backpack on the seat. So this little kid couldn't sit down. And our school isn't like American school or Canadian school where you go with 1, 2 books. No. If you have 5 subjects, you are taking 5 textbooks plus the 5 workbooks to school. And our textbooks were heavy. So your backpack, your poor little 5-year-old could fall backwards from the weight in the backpack from the textbooks. So I took out the guy's bag and I put it in his lap. And I told the kid, I'm like, yo, sit down. So then the guy goes, oh, you act like your dad bought a bus and put on the road. I'm like, okay, and? So he said, watch, when I come off the bus, I'm going to kick you. I'm like, if you were there when they conceived me, then kick me. So he came off the bus, he made his friend boots him up. So he kicked me. So I did what I was taught. I defended myself. So at the time in Jamaica, you used to could make weapons. So you used to take the PVC pipe and you would cut the PVC pipe. In the PVC pipe, the shorter end of the PVC pipe, you would put a like a wine cork, and then you would have a metal rod. So then you put the metal. What they used to do was get the metal rod that they use when they're doing welding. So then that rod goes into the cork in the plastic bottle. So the bottom of it is a handle. So then the top of the metal rod, you sharpen it on the wall so then it will get pointy. And then now you would slip the plastic, the other side of the PVC pipe over it. So then it just looks like a regular piece of pipe. So after me and the guy got into the altercation at school, the teacher separated us. So then he ran down to go get his the thing. So my friend called my house, and I guess my aunt answered the phone, and my dad. They told my dad what happened, and in less than a half an hour, and I mean my school wasn't even near my house. So in less than a half an hour, my dad was at school. My dad asked me what happened. So I told my dad what happened. So my dad, when he got there, dude jumped through the window and ran. So the principal goes, "Well, you know you're not coming back to school and you're expelled." So every time they suspend me from school, I go back the next day and tell them I need to know what part of my mom's money I'm getting back. Because if you're suspending me, I need the portion that I'm not here for, because she's paying for a certain amount of days, as with any school tuition. So after I do that, they call my grandmother. So that my grandmother would have to come to school. So the day after the fight, I was back at school. So when people are going to talk about certain things and embellish or over exaggerate certain things just so people could feel sorry for you, I wasn't raised like that. I was raised fucked up, but I wasn't raised like that. So when you say you have gang members, this should have never been on YouTube. There should have never been a police report. You said this all took place near a popular casino. Now, if you tell me that, I'm imagining a lot of traffic. So, why is it that throughout this whole thing, if he stopped your car in the middle of the road, why didn't anybody help you? Or was it not at that level? And if you tell somebody to come out of your car because they're not giving you gas money because they want you to drop them two places before prior to taking them home, wherein he had to get his car. So then if you're taking him from the airport to get his car, then that means he's driving away from you. But I don't feel like the disrespect that you're spewing in your videos you need to do. I don't feel like you need to over exaggerate nothing. If you had come and just told us what happened, then okay, cool. Nobody would be doing all of this.